I set up on my own at the same time you did, exactly the same time. I largely have a consulting business, but I'm going to change that soon, which will be 2021 coming soon.
Okay.
And you again, you have a spice merchant, but you sell a physical product. So it's inherently a different business. And ironically, when I was driving towards Costa, I was thinking through the interview, and actually, I'll be honest, I think selling a physical product, what you do, is a lot harder than what I do. I think it's a harder business to do. So it's the analogy of anyone that sells a physical product with stock, etc. It's almost playing a computer game at a harder difficulty level. But I appreciate that, and that's almost, if you can still make that work, you're really kind of flying. So that's cool. So how's the year been for you? How have you found it, like, overall?
I'm feeling battle hardened. It's been a roller coaster, without a doubt. There's been some really extreme highs and there's been some lows along the way as well. So, and I know that'd always be the case with any business that you start. I just think those highs and lows have been more extreme because of the situation we've all found ourselves in as a country this year, as a world this year.
I've got you. For me, same question. It's been a funny one because it's not that I'm not pessimistic. I just judge it. I know what not to expect, or not to expect that it's going to be rosy. So actually, for me, a lot of it was interesting. That likewise, we'll go on to a second, almost how I found it. My first half of the year was very different to my second half.
I agree.
My first half from probably, I kind of went public on the 20th of October when I said I was going to do my own thing. And for me, that was a big emotional jump to almost tell people I'm not taking a job anymore. I'm going to try. And that's a big step for me. I find it's not the pride side to it, but that was a big jump for me to really kind of do that.
It's like jumping from a plane and then trying to make a parachute on the way down. You know what I mean?
And being worried that other people are going to look at you going, what the hell's he doing?
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. So, but although I had the first few clients already kind of lined up and it was going well, so, moderately, someone told me a long time ago that almost you'll probably get your first client straight away. You'll get your second, but then there'll be a dip. Cool. Then it'll pick up again, and then you'll be good. And that first period probably for me was 6 months or so. So I was making money, then it dropped off a bit, but then actually my hard work on the business development and sales, and we'll talk about Gary Vee and the stuff that we do to drive our own businesses later. But I think then the activity really started to pay off. And in the second half of the year, it was completely different to the first. It's very cash generative and going well, which I'm not going to complain about. And then what's quite interesting going into 2021 for me, so my second year, is when I get to launch. It was part of the business I always planned to do, but I've now got the cash to invest to do it properly. Is the whole business training course side, but it's a physical product. But I couldn't have done that from day one because I didn't have the cash to properly go into it and push it. So it was just, I think, almost trying to share the learning that even in your first year of business, the two halves were different for me.
Very much so. Like it's kind of like the first half of the year for me, especially even the first quarter of the year, like it was all based on the online sales. So I was writing the blog through Facebook and through Instagram and through stories and through Twitter and LinkedIn and Snapchat stories and pinning stuff to Pinterest and trying to really diversify that content. Like sometimes it'd be a video of me cooking, sometimes it'd be a recording of me running through what issues I was dealing with at that moment. And a lot of the time it was like pictures of a meal that I'd made, and just what I find is the online sales are directly linked to the content that we share. So I was just trying to put as much content out as possible, which leads to online sales, and then obviously managing that and sending stuff out via couriers or hand delivering it locally and stuff like that. After that first few months, we started doing like markets, indoor markets like the Dundas Arcade, or like outdoor markets like Redcar High Street, Stockton High Street, farmers markets, places like Sedgefield and Wynyard. I mean, the thing with Stockton Market, it's quite an historical place. That the first market in Stockton was in the year 1310. So for me to be there 700 years later in old school merchant mode, just selling a physical product, I feel privileged to do that, man. It's something complete. I wouldn't have seen this coming 5 years ago, but I love it. And then after the online sales and the market, when we started getting a bit of recognition, especially from the Morocco video that we made, we started getting a few commercial sales, things like retailers and restaurants and cafes, and just businesses who wanted a part of it. So that's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, I was very interested again the difference between retail sales to customers, individuals,
Yeah.
and then the commercial side to it. Because again, I imagine they're probably different business models.
Without a doubt, like obviously with the selling directly to customers, somebody might come up to me at the Sedgefield Farmers Market and say, all right, I'll have a biryani seasoning. What do I do with that? So I have to be like, right, so there's 20 steps to making that. So I'll blast through them. And then they're like, right, so what do I do with this cinnamon? And I'm like, so many different ways. So what I find is that every person who comes up to me at a market, they're all unique. So I have to like kind of tailor my approach to them. So like somebody might come over who's a chef and they say, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'll have this, 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 and this. And I'm like, no bother.
Yeah,
Okay. They know the score. So, but like I'll always say to people, look, drop me a message through the Facebook page. Tell me what you bought, and I'll just blast over loads of recipes to you so that you can get the best out of them. But then on the commercial side, I worked in business development, as you know, for a lot of years. So, I mean, I think I'm equally at home having a conversation with a man on the street in Stockton who's going to go home and knock a curry up. As I am chatting to a business owner and sitting in, I mean, it's been mainly Zoom meetings this year, but on the odd occasion that we have had a meeting, you know, like being able to sit and just chat about business and how things are going. But I try and bring value to them. So I'll say, are you posting much on LinkedIn? And they'll say, oh, no. And I'll say, well, you need to be because the organic reach is outrageous. And if you're posting stuff on Facebook and Instagram, why don't you document your journey on LinkedIn as well? And you might get an extra 10,000 eyes on it a month. So business owners are kind of resonating with what I'm saying is resonating with them as well. So I'm just trying to mix it up as much as I can, really, take advantage of every opportunity.
But you know what's interesting about that is almost, and it's a good tip for anyone that sells anything, but you're adding value. So you're not just selling the physical thing because they could buy it anywhere. It's what you bring to it, and the passion and the story has value. So for anyone almost setting up their own thing, it's not just about the product, the coffee or whatever. It's the whole...
You can create an emotional link to the branding. So like, for example, I don't know about you, but every time I ring a big company, like, yeah, man, I'll name and shame NatWest, absolute nightmare. Every time I ring them, right, I'll be on hold for a while. Fair enough, you can't avoid that. But some of the customer service I've had this year, man, shocking. And I think, like, when it's my company, literally, like if somebody says to me, Peter, have you got a recipe for piri piri? I'm not just sending them one recipe. I'm sending them like a Pinterest board with 10,000 recipes on. I'll strive to be like literally the most friendly, helpful, memorable, like customer service agent that I am as possible. So I think like you can, if you do that, if you're building your own business and you are like literally the epitome of good customer service, you go that extra mile, then it's going to resonate with people. And yeah, they might be able to buy a similar product in the shop, but they think, why would I buy it from a nameless, faceless corporation when I can support a local business and I can actually message them and go, what can I do with this?